What if I told you that the biggest death you'll ever experience isn't the day your body actually stops breathing, but the moment the old version of you takes its last gasp? By the end of this episode, you'll know the exact signs that the old self inside you is dying, whether you're clinging onto it or finally brave enough to let it burn away. So picture a snake. Every so often it sheds its skin, doesn't it? Not gracefully, not effortlessly, but through friction, rubbing against rocks, splitting the old layer open. The skin doesn't simply slip away, the snake has to fight to leave it behind. That's transformation. We are not like machines where you hit update and overnight everything changes. You're now with the latest iOS software. We're more like the snake, fighting, scratching, uncomfortable, and resisting as our old skin cracks. And here's the uncomfortable truth: many people die without ever shedding. They live their entire lives in a too small layer of themselves. They suffocate in it. So, how do you know when your old skin, your old self, is beginning to peel away? Let's dive into the signs. Sign 1 is the things that once excited you now feel heavy. At one point, those habits, those circles of friends, those late nights, they lit you up. But now they feel heavier than change. Think about the dopamine cycle. The brain once gave you a little spark for eating junk food, binge watching TV shows, or gossiping. But when your old self starts to die, those sparks fade. They no longer hit the same receptors. Why? Because your nervous system is recalibrating. You've outgrown the stimulus. Here's a thought experiment. Imagine you're given a toy you adored at age 5. The bright colours, the sound effects, the lights. Back then, magic. But now, at 30, 35, it feels ridiculous, almost embarrassing to hold. And that's what happens with behaviours, environments, and even people. You've grown. The toy didn't change, you did. So if you've noticed the things that once thrilled you now feel strangely hollow, don't panic. That emptiness isn't a void, it's a sign. It's space being carved out for something greater. What about sign 2 then? You start hearing the whisper of a future self. This one is more subtle and powerful. You feel a pull like gravity towards something you can't explain. Sometimes it comes as a whisper in stillness. Sometimes it's a picture in your mind, a flash of a different lifestyle, a different body, a different career. It's not fantasy, it's potential knocking at the door. Imagine you're walking through a hallway lined with doors, behind each one a possible version of yourself. Some are smaller, safer rooms, but one door leaks a draft of fresh air, something different, something alive. You don't know what's behind it, but you can't stop staring. That's your future self, and neuroscience supports this. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning and vision, lights up when you imagine yourself in the future. When that whisper grows louder, it means your brain is literally starting to install the blueprint of a new you. Sign 3 then. The pain of staying the same becomes unbearable. Here's where transformation gets raw. Staying the same starts to feel like suffocation. Imagine being locked in a room where the walls inch closer, millimetre by millimetre. At first you barely notice, but eventually your lungs tighten, your skin presses against the walls, and you realise you cannot survive here. That's what happens when your old identity starts to collapse. What once felt safe now feels claustrophobic. It's your nervous system screaming, if you don't expand, you will wither. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, the mental stress of living in conflict with your own potential. The old you craves comfort, but the emerging you craves expansion. The pain is the crack in the shell before birth. So if you've felt restless, agitated, and even angry without reason, pay attention. That frustration is the crowbar prying you out to your old cage. Sign 4 then. You start grieving parts of yourself. This is the stage people don't talk about enough. Transformation comes with grief. You'll mourn friendships that no longer align. You'll feel nostalgic for identities you can't carry anymore. The party guy, the people pleaser, the hustler who never rests. It can feel like you've betrayed yourself or other people. Why don't I fit in with them anymore, or something different? But grief is sacred here. This is, or think of it this way, like a funeral for outdated versions of yourself. You're not burying failures, you're laying to rest the masks you no longer need. Imagine a tree shedding layers in autumn. The tree doesn't scream, but those leaves were beautiful. Those defined me. It releases them, knowing winter is coming. The spring will require space for new growth. Grief in this context is love for what you once were, but release is proof you are not trapped there anymore. Number 5, you begin to see synchronicities everywhere. The moment you step into that limited or liminal space where the old self is crumbling and the new hasn't fully formed, life starts to send signals. You stumble across books that speak directly to your struggle. You overhear conversations that answer questions you haven't spoken aloud. You meet strangers who feel like mirrors. Carl Jung called this synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that seem too aligned to be random. But what's actually happening is that your brain's particular activating system is filtering your reality differently. You've told your subconscious, I'm changing, and now it's scanning the world for proof. It's like turning a radio or tuning a radio. The frequency was always there, you just weren't tuned in. Now, the survival and signals arrive clear and sharp. Let's talk about destruction. On the surface, transformation looks violent, doesn't it? Like a forest fire. Flames devouring trees, ash coating the ground. From a distance, it looks like death. But here's the truth. There are seeds in certain forests that can only sprout after extreme heat. They lie dormant for decades, waiting for a fire. Without destruction, they'd never bloom. And that's your life. The old self burning away isn't a tragedy. It's the exact temperature required for your dormant gifts, passions, and truths to crack open. So when everything feels like it's falling apart, don't ask, why me? Ask what seed is about to be activated by this fire. So close your eyes and picture this. You're standing on a bridge. To your left is your old self, predictable, safe, wrapped in heavy coats of fear and habit. They tug your sleeve and whisper, don't cross, stay here, it's easier. To your right is your future self, not flashy, not loud, just steady, radiant. They don't beg, they don't chase, they simply extend a hand calmly and unwavering. Now imagine taking one step towards them. Feel the wooden boards of the bridge creak under your feet. Your chest tightens, but your heart pounds with possibility. The old you sighs, realising their time is up. So which hand will you take? Just remember, the old person inside you doesn't die in one moment. They dissolve through stages: the loss of interest in old habits, the whisper of a greater self, the unbearable suffocation of sameness, the grief of letting go, and the synchronicities that guide you, and finally, the fire that ignites rebirth. And if you're feeling any of these signs right now, take comfort in it. You're not falling apart, you're shedding. The old you is dying so that the real you can finally live.